Welcome back to the channel, lads and ladies, and welcome back to War Thunder. Replays coming, but I wanted to show you a little bit of what I've been experiencing lately in the game. I have been playing it a little bit lately. I have been extremely tired, and I've been spending a lot of time in Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord. But there is a major update. I think it's 1.99 coming soon TM, and it looks already rather interesting. I love the American light tank for top tier that we see. I think that'll pair off nicely against the Sweetie Boys. And what you hear is a Zero with an energy advantage jumping me. I am in a jet. But this is not just any jet, this is the jet, and we are about, if we can survive here, please, crummy Japanese 20 mils, have mercy. We're about to out energy a Zero. So now we are at low speed against a Zero. That's not a good situation to be in. And honestly, we should have died. The enemy pilot had the skill. His guns just didn't do the work he needed them to do. So we're lucky to be alive. It's not because of my skill that this happened, but we're gonna turn the tables on this Zero, and it starts with zooming away. Even though this is the worst jet in the game, according to Gaijin, it is still able to produce an incredible amount of straight line acceleration. So we took full advantage of that. We didn't do the best job aiming our shots there, but we did at least put some heat on the enemy fighter, and a head-on is the best we can hope for here, and we nail it. Those centrally mounted guns definitely do their job nicely. But I felt a little surge of accomplishment out of that. That's not something I should have survived. But now for something completely different. Bacon goes by. Plane, that is, in the one of the finest biplanes in the game, the Italian whatever the heck this is. I think I've just gotten officially old enough as a dad that I can never be cool again, and along with that comes misnaming everything, so I just have to be honest and tell you, I don't know what the designation of this is, but it's an Italian biplane. There's not a ton of them, and this is the one that comes with, I believe, 4 Spaghetti 50 cals. Now, the Italian lower tier 50 cal is generally not equal to the American one. Last I checked, it had a ridiculous kinetic energy drop-off at range, so these guns smack very hard inside of 200 meters, which is knife fighting distance for an aircraft, but they severely drop off at around half a click in terms of armor penetration quality, and I suspect that affects their overall damage as well. Your mileage may vary. In other words, these are not the sniper laser beams that you can find on American aircraft at a similar tier, but at a close range they hit hard, they fire rapidly enough when moving 4 at a time, and they are very good at setting fires. So definitely a solid armament, if not equal to American 50 cals, but in a biplane, a very capable set of weaponry, demonstrated well for us by the Bacon Man himself. A lot of beginner players, and Simpler souls, focusing on the wrong targets and lacking in situational awareness, as Bacon has really been able to shoot down one after another to the tune of 6 very rapid kills. Foes who were focusing on the wrong thing at the wrong time, or who put themselves in a situation where they wouldn't be able to counter all of the threats in their local area. Now, it's not super difficult to deal with a biplane if you know what you're doing. Even a Fantastico Italiano, as you see before you today. One of the easy ways is to catch them in an energy trap, something the Sea Hurricane seemed to be doing, but he scuffs it a bit as he pulled just a little bit too much into the vertical and allowed Bacon the chance to get onto his tail, and now turning with a biplane is absolutely the last thing you want to do. That enemy player almost had a good energy trap on Bacon there. If he'd just gone less vertical going into it, and then maybe zooming with a little bit of flat turning above Bacon, but I would recommend the sort of a stair-step approach. You go a lower angle of attack going into the energy trap in the head-on, and then you zoom rapidly, and then as your foe follows you, you even off into a much more gradual ascent, and your foe, who will by instinct likely follow you in a straight line, will burn off their energy while you are recovering energy in your own shallow climb, and then that's when you turn around or loop over and set the trap. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, but this is a tier where lessons are very easy to come by, and your instructor today, Bacon Man himself, one of the perfect reasons for having biplanes, as he's going for the gear kill. He's going for the gear kill! RKO from the ropes! And by sheer means of intimidation, the enemy pilot dodges away all the way into the ground, having taken a few rounds, giving Bacon his 8th kill on empty ammunition. What was I saying? Instructor Bacon here, teaching enemy players how it's done. As we speed up the replay a bit, let's see if Bacon has anything more for us. Enemy Hurricane, heavily damaged, but not at the hands of the Bacon Man himself. But can Chris P get another maneuver kill? Going into an extreme maneuver here, something that you can only really pull off in a biplane or a Zero or some other monstrosity, but a negative elevator into a barrel roll into a split S at low altitude. Pretty ridiculous. This enemy, what is that? I can't quite read the name. Hurricane is clearly suffering and goes down. We're going to call that credit to another player, but a nice way to end the match. Bacon showing off a little bit before his engine finally dies. Now, in the instructor's chair, Torstein himself. And did you catch that? I saw some 6.7s, maybe 7.0, but this is actually a 7.7 battle rating match in which Torstein has taken out the T-34-57. More proof that Russian bias is real. Let the memes begin. T-34-57, for those of you that are not familiar, is one of the most enjoyable T-34s and just about perfect in terms of being a medium tank. With only a 57mm cannon, you wouldn't suspect that it is in fact an offensive monster, but with the commensurately rapid reload rate that a smaller cannon can offer, as well as having extremely high muzzle velocity for this tier, along with ballistics that, in War Thunder, render it a highly accurate sniping platform, on the chassis of a T-34 that's already very capable of rapidly getting into position, as you see Thorstein availing himself of the opportunity here, as well as what below a battle rating of 7.7 would be considered somewhat reliable armor for a medium tank. You have in the T-34-57 an extremely consistent, versatile, and capable package of a medium tank. Dare I say, a meta vehicle. Thorstein here attempting to, I think, get a hull break on that enemy. I think it's one of those flatboy door wedge ATGM and cannon having infantry fighting vehicles that the Soviets have. What's it called? Never mind. It's the Sweetie Boy with the tow missile launcher, because why wouldn't it be? Setting fire to the box and burning all of the sweet, delicious IKEA meatballs inside. Thorstein, in what would be considered a meme lineup, yes, he has an entire lineup of lower tier vehicles to run in this match, has already proved that it's not always about the girth of your gun or the power of your penetration. Sometimes it's how you use it that counts. Using these top tier tactics to put himself in just the right place at just the right time, and you could say he got lucky. But you could also make the case that he's listening, he's watching the map. If you look at his position, he's nicely filling in for his teammates, watching their backs, and showing that his attention is well spent. One of the things that you can definitely benefit from in these replay videos, besides hearing the beautiful sound of my voice, I have a very sore throat today, thanks for asking. I got some kind of cold right after I took my girls to their clinic appointment, but if I'd actually gotten it from there, I wouldn't be showing symptoms for up to 2 weeks in the case of COVID, but more often in viruses, it's at least like 3, 4, or 5 days. But what I'm really saying is I got distracted again, and one of the things you can get out of all these replay videos is watching where people position. That is entirely the reason I generally keep the minimap tab open in the bottom right in these replays when I don't shut off the UI for cinematic purposes, because this game can just be so beautiful. I mean, look at the lighting. It's a good looking game. And recently I updated my graphics settings, and I'm using the wrong anti-aliasing, and I haven't gotten around to fixing it, and things kind of look like Minecraft threw up all over everything. There are a variety of ways to enjoy this game, and just look at how flat the firing arc for this cannon is. It's just so effective in what at this tier could be called short to medium range. But for the T-34-57's own battle rating, that would be medium range, if not long range. Very little adjustment needed for elevation. Surprising, to say the least, that he failed to punch through the side armor of that. What is that, an M48 variant? I think so. I think that's the M48 G2A2 G6 like a G6. M48 A2 G A2, something like that. It means German, okay? It just means German. But where was I going with all of this? I get distracted. It's been a long day. Baby Zoe, who, again, I must remind you, is not a baby, but actually a toddler, but I'm just so used to calling her Baby Zoe, and she's always going to be my baby. So she has molars coming in and they've gotten to the point of pushing up through the skin of her gums and showing their little white crown, but it's flecked and surrounded with torn and ragged flesh as they force their way through her little gummy gums. And if that sounds horrific to you, then I assure you she has communicated her horror and discomfort quite a bit over the past few days, today being no exception. And emotional fatigue, along with my own poor life choices and sleep schedule, have combined to make me an addle-brained old fool even more than usual. In this state, as always, even more than before, I appreciate you joining me to witness my demise. But, in any event, look at that. Barely missed on the leading against that target at, what would you say, 600-800 yards, something like that. Moving fast, low profile, BMP, that's the name of the thing. My brain, I'm telling you, it's starting to treat War Thunder vehicle designations like I treat the names of human beings, and that means that it's going to take me a few minutes, if not hours or days, to fish out the correct one. If ever. Anyway, the B point being taken by the enemy, Torstein finding himself perhaps overextended, as evidenced by the knackering he was getting from that pizza wagon. But whoever tried to meme against the meme just didn't have the means of dealing serious damage to Torstein at that range. He could have stood to get a little bit closer and gone for the upper engine cowling. On the T-34 early models, you can see where the grate is for the engine, how it curves down into the flat rear armor. That's actually, I think, around 15 millimeters and fairly flat where it curves down. And that is one spot you can sneak in a 20 mil into the booty of McShooty here, if you're lucky enough. Enemy jet flying overhead has spotted Torstein, spoiler alert, as our guy does what he can to get out of the line of fire, finding cover between two buildings and listening for enemy vehicles. Now he's in a tricky situation as he gets taken down by a heavy rocket from the IKEA jet. It is by no means over, though, as Torstein respawns in another T-34-57. And my toddler has just told me that she's poopy, so I've got to take a quick break. Back in a second. Okay, and I'm back. That was a nice and neat cleanup job. Yes, I'm talking about the diaper, but could also refer to what Torstein has been doing to the enemy team with 10 kills already, now on his second spawn in the T-34-57, sorry, a T-34-57. I think there's, a premium one and one in the regular tech tree. I think that's how that works out. But, sometimes it seems like there's 30 because of how much you see these things at their own battle rating range in War Thunder. Again, they are a very capable medium tank, perhaps one of the most powerful T-34s, even with as much good press as the T-34-85 gets. The 57 is truly a dangerous vehicle, as evidenced here at a significantly higher battle rating. Going directly into the next position where he'll be needed, Torstein no doubt looking forward to flanking and spanking enemy tanks as they attempt to approach his allies here at the A point, and that is exactly what he accomplishes against the enemy Panther. Under normal circumstances, a very dangerous foe, even at this higher battle rating, but with the side of a turret in view, or any side armor, showing the Panther's armor advantage against vehicles of Thorstein's battle rating is significantly mitigated. Almost an early example of an MBT. The Panther definitely has a lot going for it in terms both of the War Thunder meta and the way tanks would be headed going on into the future. And yet, here we are, in what could be considered an early model T-34, showing that sometimes positioning is really the most important factor. And of course, even more modern vehicles have been put to shame already. And next up, the Kugelblitz. Sorry again if I sound a little bit slow of the tongue today. My mouth is hurting a bit. It's been a long couple of weeks, I'm telling you. And it wouldn't be a 7-7 match with a little bit more CAS spam. The close air support platforms for many nations being extremely capable, and I suspect that was an ME262A1 U4 Narwhal. That was a lot of rounds hitting our guy and taking him out of the fight yet again. Fast forward toward the end of the match, and Thorstein is holding the line, my goodness, in the best Soviet medium tank at this battle rating range, the American M4. What is this, A3? 76 with the wet rack. That I'm not entirely convinced it matters all that much to have a wet rack in War Thunder, but I suppose it's for the boys. Panther taken down by this American medium tank in the best service, showing off both the short-stop stabilizer and the incredible power of that 76 on the Sherman. Another side shot, another tank taken down, and the match still within a mere fraction of a score between win and loss. They're actually going to pull through a win on this one, and now we move to RosehipSan repping that Mr. Beast and going beast mode in Der Brummbär, a vehicle that definitely was not designed for close quarters tank on tank action, and we're just going to give you the explosions because this video has run on for quite some time already, and you may have noticed that even when my girls are supposed to be synchronized napping, which is itself worthy of an angelic chorus singing in rapture, things happen. Brooklyn is to the point where her crib is just another bed. She can enter and exit the crib at will, and she loves to do so. And she will come to me, even if it's supposed to be nap time, if she has some pressing issue that needs to be addressed. And what she feels is important, and what I agree is important, are not always the same thing. But today she came to me with a poopy diaper, so I appreciate being informed about that as soon as possible. I suspect that my toddler is not the only one to have soiled themselves today, as a few members of the enemy team on this point are facing off against some seriously intimidating frontal protection and a cannon that can lob large amounts of hurt downrange. RosehipSan checking the cannon to see if he can't squeeze another round out of that damaged bore, nonetheless finding his answer at the hands of that T-34 as it slams another round into his cannon. A quick fix, and the BT goes down. Now that's target prioritization right there. That enemy T-34 definitely should have repositioned. It's far easier to take down a broom bear from the side or from another angle than it is to try and face rock them, even if you've had the opportunity to shoot out their cannon a few times. And I actually suspect what we just saw was a little bit of a replay glitch. I think RosehipSan waited until the cannon was repaired and then fired. That's why we got sort of that double tap action going on. In any event, a few more kills over the course of this match, putting his total up to 7 before he finally gets taken down by close air support. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this series of replays and a little bit, as usual, of me talking about what's happening in my life. That is, of course, because this channel is just an amateur thing that I do as sort of a way of connecting with people. To wit, as usual, there's a link to the Discord in the description of this video, and that is the best place to get a hold of me and even send in your own replays. Hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.